You've just stepped into the Midlife Revolution Unleashed, your space to ignite possibility, redefine purpose, and embrace the power that comes with age and experience. Co-hosted by yours truly, Coach Wayne.
And I'm Coach Stacey M. Lewis. We are two seasoned coaches focused on the midlife community of color. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. In a world that sometimes forgets the power and the wisdom that comes with age, we are here to ignite a revolution and rewrite the narrative of this incredible journey.
So, whether you're navigating your career, growing your business, rediscovering passions, or challenging the status quo, this is your space. So, buckle up. Let's dive into the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. Unleash me, Stacey.
I don't know about you, sir, but every time I hear that tune, I just get a little excited.
I do too. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good next day, wherever you are. It's Midlife Revolution Unleashed, and I am Coach Wayne, your VIP coach. I help brothers to navigate midlife so that they can land on the second half, the best half. And with me is my illustrious co-host, Stacey M. Lewis.
Illustrious. I love it. Good evening, good afternoon, good day, good morning. It is great to be alive and welcome to the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. I'm so excited you are here viewing, listening. You are in for a treat. I am Stacey M. Lewis. I'm a nonprofit executive. Hey, Wayne, it's Giving Tuesday, which means that it is everyone's opportunity to dig into those pockets and support the organizations that you believe in. Had to get that plug in there as a nonprofit professional. I am also a midlife woman's coach, really focused on women of color and helping them to thrive and live a life that they love. And so I'm excited about our conversation and the kickoff to the Midlife Compass series.
Yep. Stacey, we are only 28 days away from folks who fool themselves into coming up with these New Year's resolution that ends by week 3 in January. Mm-hmm. And what we want to talk about today, for midlifers especially, is how we move forward in an empowering way so that our 2025 looks much better than 2024 did, and that we're not part of the numbers of folks who are missing out on these new ideas, goals, and visions.
I couldn't agree with you more. And now is the time, right, to think about what you want 2025 to look like, starting with January 1, not waiting until January 1 and then saying, oh yeah, I want to lose 20 pounds and I want to gain 5 million in my business. And now is the time to start building that 2025 and beyond vision. And so I'm super excited that we're going to be talking about this tonight.
Yeah. To kind of put a parcel around it all, we go back to the good old mindset, the way we think about things, right? Mm-hmm. And we are going to detail in and talk about visioning. And we know, Stacey, what the good word is about vision and folks with the power of vision.
Share the good word. What is the good word, Wayne?
Well, Stacey, you know that people without vision are likely to perish.
Mm-hmm. That is the good word. Yes, it is.
Right. And so the idea is, if we're not thinking about moving forward, not that we're going to spend our life looking at the future, but we must realize that if we want to move forward, we got to be looking in that direction and planning around it and creating a vision, a why that's greater than ourselves, that's going to propel us. But not only propel us, Stacey, it's going to attract those who we need to help us to get there.
Yes. And your vision is what your plan is then built on, right? You don't want to take your dreams and your vision and then imagine that it's going to be fulfilled. That really is just a wish. This is really the foundation of building the plan to make 2025 a great year for you, regardless of what the economic, the environmental, regardless of some of those things we cannot control. What we can control is how we move forward as individuals. And so, as we think about charting a fresh vision for 2025 and beyond, the foundation is really about reflection and reconnection with who you are, where you are, what your values are, what fuels you, what drains you, and how you put that all together as a strong foundation to start to build your vision.
Yeah. And stick around for the half an hour, folks, because we're going to leave you with 3 pragmatic action steps that can help you to make sure that your visioning is a winning process. So please stick around. We're here till at least 7:30. We might steal a minute or two, but we're going to make sure that you go home with a package so that it's worth your while to do this exercise.
Sounds great. Sounds great. So, what does it mean to reconnect and reflect? Um, as I think about it, Wayne, I really think about reconnecting, meaning rediscovering your values, your passions, and your strength. And reflecting, meaning taking a little bit of inventory as to where you are, what your achievements have been, obstacles you've overcome, um, in preparation of moving forward. What do you think about when you think about or hear reconnect and reflect?
Yeah, when I think about reconnect, for me, there is a source,
Mm,
something that I am powered by to move forward.
mhm,
And at times, when I'm missing the mark, I'm missing the alignment with that something. And oftentimes, that can be a goal or a vision, something greater than myself that's propelling me to move forward. And if I'm missing the mark and feel a little bit out of line, it's
mm,
important to stop and take a stock or inventory and plug in or
mhm,
reconnect.
mm. I love it. When you and I were talking, it might have been last week, we started to really hone in on some of the differences in the genders, right? Just how we think about this idea of vision and goals and um, moving forward. And what do you have there? What are you thinking there?
Yeah. So, Stacy, like a couple that I'm currently working with,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have to go that far. Right here in my home, my wife will call on me and she'll tell me about her day. And sometimes she may have a little bit of a naughty day that she's trying to process and work through. And so
Mm-hmm.
I am her sounding board. See my big broad chest, Stacy? Yeah. So she throws it at me. And especially if we have had that conversation previously, you know what I do. And I think a lot of men do this. I know for a fact the men that I've worked with relationship issues, we want to fix it. We
Mm,
want to solve it because as men, we grew up in an environment that forced us, as it were, to be goal oriented. We leave out, we go slaughter the kill, and we got to bring it back home, right?
yeah.
So when you tell me that there's a thing going on, you're missing your goal, the vision isn't happening, what you thought. I don't really want to hear the process. I'm going to tell you how to fix it. And my wife, Audrey, she doesn't really want me to fix it for her. She's very capable. She just wants me to listen in.
Right. Right. Because women tend to be much more relational and really thinking about, even as we're talking those things out, right? It is in that relationship, not with the expectation that you will slaughter the issue, but with the expectation that there'll be kind of this relational piece. And it relates to vision because we want to make sure that we are embracing who we are, how we are, as we think about um, vision and the power of reconnection and reflection. And so while women may be a little bit more reflective on the relations and emotional aspects of their life, you were sharing earlier that men are often focused on the benchmarks or the goals, or did we accomplish X? And I'm finding, and even it's validated with all of the women that I coach, we're often thinking about uh, self discovery and, being our highest self and wanting to really actualize what we experience or hope or discover is our highest self.
Yeah, a lot of us, we are always in this competitive edge because, again, that's the culture and the society that we're a part of. And so this competitive edge forces us to compete not just with others, but even with ourselves. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times for men, when it comes to looking at vision and moving forward, we are making judgments about what other people set for us in terms of
Mm-hmm.
extrinsic uh, values and criteria by which we know that we have arrived or accomplished these things. And we beat ourselves up sometimes because we oftentimes are saying we're not good enough and we didn't do it the way that those guidelines are created in our society as men.
I love these conversations, and I think one universal truth that we can agree upon is that, regardless of gender, that reconnecting with yourself really requires one to step back from all of the stuff that's happening, all of the external pressures, and ask yourself questions and take on activities that begin to bring inner clarity, um, for you to really begin to then move forward. Um, One of the conversations or pieces that you and I had, Wayne, was really thinking about some actionable steps for everyone in our listening, viewing audience. Wayne is always about the actionable steps. And one way that you can really begin to ask yourself some key questions is to really think about what those questions are. Coaches are always good at questions, right? We always have
Absolutely.
a lot of questions. Um, One question is, what accomplishments or milestones from the past year am I most proud of?
Yeah. Had a group
What
today.
values? Yeah, right. That's good, isn't it?
That's powerful stuff. Go coaching, Stacy. Go coaching. One of the things, Stacy, that
Mm-hmm.
I challenge others with and I use myself is the question of what is the belief that doesn't serve me? In other words, what's the limiting belief that I have that's not serving me that I need to shed myself off or reframe next year as I create a new vision or make the vision one of possible possibilities?
That is such a great question, and one that does require us to kind of set aside some time, right? And to not brush by that, not brush by like, oh, I have fear of putting my voice out there, or I'm battling some shame from some decisions I made last week, last year, 10 years ago, really addressing that, focusing on that limiting belief in a way that um, you can use as fuel. And I know that we've talked about this in at least one of our episodes, but it really is, how can you reframe that and begin to use that as fuel? Love it.
Yeah,
Another question is, what lessons have my biggest challenges taught me about me?
I like to say it's not about failure, it's really feedback, right? So
Mm,
it's important. And Stacy, as midlifers, sometimes we get caught up in the negative thinking because, life served us some lemons.
mm.
We've lived long enough and we forget to make them lemonades, right? And so we get caught up with talking about the lemons rather than lemonades. And what needs to happen is we can see what the negative aspects of those experiences are and use it as feedback to recalibrate, reset, and move forward. Now we know where the pitfalls are. We can avoid them. We can step through and over them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another good question for reflection and reconnecting is around what lights me up now, right? Like what lights me up now? What's draining me now, right? Oftentimes we don't take that kind of internal inventory about where I am right now. And that's critical to reconnection.
Yeah. Passion. They say if you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life, right?
Mm,
So when we talk about vision and getting to the next level in our lives, find something that resonates with your soul and your heart. Now, a lot of us in midlifers, we've been there decades. We know sometimes we needed to pay the bills, or for whatever reason, family started without the plan
mhm,
and we
mhm.
just had to get going. So we grabbed what was available and we wound up 30 years later still doing something that we really didn't have a passion for, right? I like to say oftentimes we get caught up in a job, which is being just over broke, making sure that we can pay the bills.
Yeah, yeah, just over broke is not a place we want to be. Yet I can certainly relate having been there. And our hope is that, as coaches, we are sharing nuggets in a way that inspire our listening and viewing audience to move forward. And the questions that we've posed have really been about a now inventory, taking a now inventory. Who am I today? What are my strengths and values? You mentioned passion. We talked a little bit about, what lessons have I learned, as well as what matters most to me. What are, whether they be goals or aspirations, what matters most to me in my relationships? What matters most to me as I show up in the world, whether that be in my home, on my job, in my career, in my business, or even in my retirement? For those of you that have gotten there, whoop, whoop, kudos to you. But taking a now inventory is a really great way um, to visually see, if you write it down or audio record it, whatever works for you, to really take a look at where you are and who you are now, so that you're building a vision that matters to you now, not what you wanted to be 25 years ago.
Stacey, if you recall last season, I gave you a little story about a dream buster, a teacher called when I was in high school, Miss Anglin. I wanted to be a pilot, and Miss Anglin told me at the time I was wearing glasses. I still wear contact lenses, but
Mm-hmm.
lenses weren't out yet. I'm dating myself. So Miss Anglin told me I was maybe 10 years old that I couldn't be a pilot because I wore glasses. Come to
I'm
find out that's not true at all. So part of what we're talking about when it comes to creating visions is to not have people around you that are dream busters, that are naysayers, that don't support your vision as well. So when you do your inventory, you may have to weed out some folks that you love and care about, but they're not good for you to move forward.
Absolutely. We want to say hello to Judy. Thank you so much for joining us. It is just unbelievable how we can, y'all. I'm still not a fan of Miss England. I don't even know if she's alive, but I'm just saying every time Wayne tells that story, I feel a little way about about her and how she stomped on the dreams of a child. But that's my issue. Sorry, I
Yep.
digress. What a lot of this involves too is making sure that we are not comparing ourselves to where we thought we would be, to how we thought we would be. And in our next episode, we'll be talking about, the need to really break free from comparison. And some of us, even in this season of midlife, are comparing ourselves to others and comparing ourselves to where our parents thought we should be or where our spouse or partner thinks we should be. And that now inventory is something that we'll be able to bring into the conversation about comparison.
Yeah. Hi, both Judys, Judy Brown and Judy Silva, for
Ooh,
jumping
Judy,
in and
Judy.
sharing with us the Judy Squared event.
Is there a song about Judy? I feel like there must be.
I don't know. I'm too young to think about that. So, what else you got for us, Stacy?
I think it really is taking action. Now is the time to vision. One of the things that you often talk about, Wayne, is the reminder to self compassion, right? And as we go through this now inventory and asking ourselves some of these challenging questions, um, the the reminder, I think, to show yourself grace, to really reflect on the last year, the last 10 years, whatever you decide, to reflect in a way that is not full of judgment of yourself, um, where you can acknowledge regret if it exists, but it doesn't weigh down the reflection, um, and to celebrate who you are now, what you've come, what you've overcome, who you've become. Um, and I know self-compassion is always something that you refer to, Wayne.
Yeah, don't self-flagellate. We beat ourselves up, bruise ourselves up. Who needs an enemy when we're our worst nightmare? And so, if you want to move forward, I told a client today that they were talking about missing the mark at the end of the year because they had this big win in terms of their vision for 2024. But they had accomplished so many other small wins along the way. I had to remind them, keep celebrating the small wins, because what they do is they put you in thrust mode by giving you momentum. And we need that. And if you're spending time looking at what you missed, you forget to see what you've gained and gotten. And so, as we talk about vision for 2025, go back and look at the flowers that you need to give to yourself because of the goals and the accomplishments, even very small ones, that you made in the year gone by.
That was so good. It was so good. Some of this we often say like, "Oh, my dreams have died," or I don't have any vision. Well, now's the time to rekindle, to dream again, to um, dust off the vision, dream cobwebs, and um, give it another go. Life is to be lived. we have come to this point with such a sense of resilience and such a demonstration of what we can overcome and can achieve, that we've got no reason but to move forward. I think,
Yeah.
Wayne, we would want to give our listening and viewing audience some good old action steps
Absolutely,
to
absolutely.
move forward.
Absolutely. And let's talk about journaling. So many people think, especially a lot of the guys that I work with, when I bring up, hey, it's time to do some journaling, they kind of pull back. No, I don't know. As if journaling has a gender to it that's not in keeping with their image.
Mm,
But journaling
mm.
is important because what you're able to do is to track, and you can't say where you are headed if you don't know where you are and where you've come from. And journaling helps you to sort of measure your pace along the way.
I I agree. And I'll also admit I'm not much of a journaler. And I am really working on reminding myself of the value of writing it down. One is so I can see it, right? It can swirl around in my head forever. Um, but until I write it down or audio record it, whatever works for you, I don't see it. I'm not looking at it in a way where I can be gracefully critical, right? Or gracefully constructive of even what I'm thinking. And it doesn't, to your point of, journaling. I don't even know if there's another word other than just write it down. Don't think about it as this uh practice that might have some feminine tendencies or something, right? But what you're really saying is writing it down. Take that now inventory and write it down.
Yeah. The magic of writing it down is that you move it from a place of conception to a place of actualization and realization. You're actually seeing the thing on paper. And, just to throw in a bonus on what we're doing with the activities is vision boarding, right, Stacey?
Mm,
It's a
mm-hmm,
little bit of it's a picturesque version of the writing it down. So,
yeah.
Stacey, action step number 2 that you and I spoke about,
Mm-hmm,
uh, we covered one of them slightly, so we'll leave it for last. But number 2, I'd like us to talk a little bit about making sure that you feel inspired and energized
mm-hmm.
in this season.
Yeah. Um, n- I don't think any of us want to follow or even embrace a vision that is not inspired or does not inspirational or does not energize us. And so really reflect, whether it's in your now journal or your voice notes, on what makes you feel inspired, what gives you energy in this season of life. Some are dealing with thoughts about themselves or where they are, that are likely not fueling. And so, write those down and then put them aside so you can really begin to tap into what makes you feel inspired and
Yeah.
energized in this season.
And as we get around the corner close to the bottom of the hour, Stacey, there is, and Curtis, welcome. You're not late, my brother. You're here. You're on God's time.
Always on time.
And then there is identifying, as we said, a barrier, the way we think, a
Mm-hmm.
limiting belief, just one for now, that has been placed on you by society, what the people tell you. And oftentimes we buy into that and we make it personal, the expectations. I would say, Stacey, to folk, it's time to reframe these beliefs to make them work in your favor and to empower you so you can launch into your vision.
Yes, one term that I use in my coaching practice is about the deeper truth. And oftentimes we know that those limiting beliefs are not true, but they resonate as true to us. Um, and so, you know, that whether it's I'm too old, or I bring shame from decisions I've made, or um no one wants to hear my voice, whatever that is, really begin to dig a little bit on what that really is, acknowledging that as untruth, and really combating that with empowering truth is the way to go. That's the only way to really begin to tamp down those ants, right? Those automatic negative thoughts. We got to crunch on them, like with our pointy toe shoes, women with our pointy toe shoes.
Stacy, we are not at the bottom of the hour, as I said before. I feel like I'm standing on my head. We're at the top of the hour, and that means it's time to get out of here. But before we do so, Stacy, I want to thank everybody for jumping in. And if you catch the replay, feel free to DM us. And Wayne and Stacy, right? We're both coaches. We work with midlifers and folks who are alpha mindset that they're preparing for midlife, right? So age is not the criteria here necessarily. And Stacy, show the folks how they can, remind them how they can reach you.
Absolutely. The other thing I would add to what you just shared, Wayne, is that we would love to hear from you. If there are thoughts or experiences that you are having right now that you feel like Wayne and I should talk about as part of talking to the larger midlife community, let us know in the chat or the comments. If you know of someone that you feel could join our conversation, we'll consider a guest or two at times. But let us know. We want to hear from you. So please make sure that as you reach out to Wayne, here's his contact information. As you reach out to me, that you are really letting us know that you are the revolution. You are why we're here, and we want to hear from you. This has been such a joy. Don't forget, this is just session 1 or episode 1 of the Midlife Compass series. Our goal is to help you vision for 2025 in a way that is meaningful to you, relatable to you, and impactful to you moving forward. So,
Stacey,
Wayne, always a pleasure.
Same here. Stacey, folks who reach out to me, DM me, I'm happy to send my free ebook to them, which is about breaking free and discovering their power, purpose, and prosperity in midlife. So make that happen. Stacey, next week, we're going to do this again. Same time and same place. Guys, thank you for joining us. We love you.
Thank you.
And there you have it, folks. This week's episode of the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. Hey, we truly appreciate your spending this time in this space with us. Join us next week at the same time as we dive into relevant topics and present solutions to spark new thinking and empower your midlife journey.
And don't forget, if you enjoyed today's episode, let us know in the comments and share it with others. And of course, remember to subscribe, share, like, hit that notification bell. You are the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm cheering you on.
And I'm Coach Wayne, and I'll see you at the top.